Hey guys, we are here at Knott's Berry Farm to do our 2016 Scary Farm Strategy Visual Guide. So it's super hot, it's bright in the heat of August, so it must be time to talk Halloween, right? And so if you follow along closely with haunt builds, it goes all throughout the summer. It's part of why we really love these events, is all the work, all the love and care that goes into putting together these haunts for that late September and October crowd. But we're going to talk about strategy. So the point of this guide that we do each year is to really help people out that maybe want to try to enjoy the park and not pay for a front of the line or not be able to have access to those things of any sort of VIP perks and be able to just kind of still enjoy the event despite big crowds. So we're going to go through and give you some of the strategies. So that being said, before we get too deep into things, one thing about this guide is we're talking all about the haunt specific activities, everything related to spooky Scary Farm stuff. So this does not go into rides. Our feeling is if you want to ride any of the rides outside of bonus time afterwards, make sure to do that during the day. You can get cheap tickets during the off season and ride everything with no wait. During the Scary Farm season, things are super crowded and crazy, and the last thing you want to do is bog down a 2-hour line for Ghost Rider while you're trying to do the haunt stuff. So in terms of getting your tickets, make sure to buy early, buy in advance. Buying tickets at the door, super expensive. It can range $20, $30 more for a ticket there, so make sure to buy those things online. Highly suggest picking up your Scary Farm annual pass. If you're going to go twice, it's going to be well worth the money. It's $85 if you're not a regular Knott's Berry Farm pass holder, $75 if you are. Gives you 24 nights of entertainment, which is pretty awesome. All those mazes, haunts, sure you can fit in some rides with there too if you have that kind of pacing. You know, the season pass is a real luxury and it's a great thing to do. We come numerous times, despite doing last year, we did 30, 40 some haunts. We made sure to make several trips to Scary Farm, and Horror Nights, they've got their frequent fear pass as well. We'll talk about that in a different visual guide. If you are able to pay for a front of the line, if that's not going to detract from being able to do other haunt experiences or things like that, definitely go for it. I mean, this video is not meant to discourage people from doing the front of the line. Here they call it Fright Lane with Skeleton Key, and something different here. It's about $110, $105 for pass holders in advance. If you pay for Fright Lane and the Skeleton Key, not only are you getting that front of the line access to these mazes, but additionally you're getting a really cool physical piece of memorabilia to keep with you, a nice little Skeleton Key. And this year it's going to get you into 4 unique standalone haunt activities, kind of escape room type, very small localized attractions. And so these are going to be separate from the haunts. In the past they've been kind of almost like epilogues to the haunt, I'm sorry, prologues to the haunt, so giving you a little background before you go into the maze. This year they're standalone separate locations in the park that you're able to experience these things. So definitely a worthwhile night if you can do it. But again, we're going to go through most of this guide pretending that I don't have front of the line, I don't have any kind of VIP stuff, no Fright Lane, no Skeleton Key, no buffet, and make my way through all the things, doing the best I can with the limited resources of that one night ticket. Additionally though, we do want to talk about the buffet and give it a big plug there, BOO-FET, F-E-T, the buffet. Really great, it's $28. You get really good food. And on top of that, you get a refillable cup for Knott's Berry Farm that you can bring back throughout the rest of the season and get free refills all throughout that night at Scary Farm, free refills. So a great deal there all the way around. Plus you get kind of a character meet and greet experience. If you've ever done a Disney character meet and greet, you've got that. You've got the monsters roaming around. There are a bunch of kind of improv actors that are going to play, give some fun little twists of humor and things like that. And it's a good way to kind of start the night. And then most importantly, you have a half hour, and I shouldn't go on record, it's not specified that you're going to get a full half hour, but historically they give you about a half hour in the park. They usually open it up a good half hour before that you're able to access some of the mazes that we'll go take a look at in a minute there, and it makes a huge difference overall for the night. They say they give you a few minutes advantage. As I said, they've always been really good and given even more of that, but either way, even a 5-minute advantage is a nice thing when you're coming to the crowds of the night, and it's nothing compared to that $28 price that you're going to pay for a great dinner, great drinks. You've got the food out of the way early and you're able to have a really good night going from there. So we're going to go ahead and make our way inside, talk a little bit about the opening ceremony and getting in through security. All right, so now we're inside the gates. Real quick, we want to talk about the process of getting inside. They are super strict with security, as they are with all haunt events, so just plan accordingly. Make sure to check out the guides online of what's allowed in and what's not allowed in. You can expect the line to get a little bit backed up as they go through metal detectors, and they're going to, you know, everything out of the pockets and all of that. So that said, once you make your way in, this is a really fun area here for the opening ceremony. We recommend highly with any of the haunts that you're going to attend this year, get there early, get there early, get there early. Or whatever time you think you should be there a half hour early. Earlier than that for us, we would try and be here if we weren't doing the buffet or anything like that. we would try and be here at least an hour before the event opens, because about a half hour out, maybe even 40 minutes out, you're going to have characters roaming this area, and this is going to be kind of a big holding pin here between Camp Snoopy and Ghost Town. And you're going to wait for the proverbial rope drop, very similar to Disneyland. They'll drop the rope, everybody will run off to the mazes and things like that. That said, all the time in here, again, you're going to have a lot of character interactions, a lot of great photo ops within there, and if the past holds, there'll be a really fun opening ceremony. And the opening ceremony has been really great the last couple years. We've enjoyed it highly. Now that said, if you're here for that one night and you're really trying to hit these hit these mazes, maybe have some time for rides at the end, you're going to really want to leave that behind though. As much fun as the opening ceremony is, you're going to want to push to one of these sides as much as possible to get ready to go. Now we're going to talk about, for us, the strategy is going to be all about getting to the the two mazes that are going to probably be the worst in terms of line waits, and that's going to be Infected and Paranormal Inc. So we're going to push our way as much as we can over there. One kind of sneaky way around over here is around this back area. This can kind of cut you back up to the front as well. But either way, you're going to want to push and be over here on this side of Ghost Town, or right in front of Ghost Town by the streets there. When they let you in, be careful, stay close with your party. It's super scary, not in the scary farm way necessarily, but just you have a horde of people all moving one way. You've got monsters cutting the other way, and there's always people mingled in the group that are super scared of monsters and are going to try and run you over and trample you. So, keep your group together, slowly migrate in, and you're going to make your way over to Spurs, kind of past Ghost Rider, and that's where we're going to make our way now to talk a little bit more about the buffet and also those mazes like Paranormal Inc., Tooth Fairy, etc. that are offset over there. All right, let's pick up now and talk a little bit about the buffet. So if you're doing the buffet, there is an option at the hotel as well as Mrs. Knott's. We highly suggest going with the version right here at Spurs, because honestly, it's just a better feeling being inside the park. Like when you're done, you're right in here. You've already gone through security. There's no delays, no lineup. So definitely we prefer here. The food's great at all of them, and there's sometimes some variation between the food. We did, I think, all of them last year and enjoyed them all. They had different highlights and things like that. But definitely Spurs. Characters are great. Everything. We've talked about kind of the advantages of the buffet. So let's play that card out now. So we've done the buffet. It's 6:20-ish. We always try and do the earliest time as well. That way we just have more time to relax, eat, drink, all of that, and kind of sit here off before things are going to really get going. Back over here, they're going to be holding people again at a line drop or a rope drop, similar to up in the front area there. So if you're going to wait to go that way, you're going to just sit there and wait. But where we definitely suggest going is down over here, where they're going to open up behind Ghost Rider. Now, Ghost Rider in the past has been open as well during that time, so you could take a ride on Ghost Rider, and if you are going to take a ride on Ghost Rider, definitely do it before the park opens, because once it opens, you're going to have a huge mash of people going right there, and it's going to be an awesome people eater this year. There's going to be tons of huge lines there. Awesome. All those people can stay there for however long. But for us, focusing on the haunt, we're going to make our way in there if we're doing the buffet. We're going to do Paranormal Inc. first, because it is the one that's the toughest to get through. It's pulsed attraction. It takes the longest to get through. It gets really backed up. There's a lot of really cool kind of interactive elements to it, but as a result, it really gets bogged down as the night goes on. Then it's going to loop us right into Tooth Fairy behind it. We're going to hit that. We're going to come right back out to the front, go through a queue that's going to be right over here and kind of under the near Ghost Rider in the back area there for Trick or Treat, one of our favorite mazes every year, and then hit Voodoo, and then we are going to hopefully be back over here by about 7 o'clock when everyone else is running in. When everyone else is running in to do all this, we're going to be moving on to Infected, and that's where we'll go next. Now that said, if you're not doing the buffet, you don't have any front of the line, you're just going to grind things out, you skip the opening ceremony there, you're going to come and make your way in. We debated on this a lot. We've had talks all the way up until this recording of this, but our feeling is if it was us, especially if we're coming back and had done Paranormal Inc. last year, we're just going to basically figure that we're going to skip Paranormal Inc. this year and go directly to Infected. We're going to come back, check Paranormal Inc. at the end of the night, but we really try and prepare this guide as if you're going to come on a Friday or Saturday night when it's going to be crazy. Hopefully you're coming on a Thursday, hopefully you're coming on a Sunday, sometimes where it's not as crazy or you're able to have that front of the line or the buffet or something like that. But if you're going to come on a really crazy night, it just doesn't seem that doable as it stands right now in August filming this, to be able to do Infected and Paranormal Inc. in any sort of way that you're going to be able to do everything else. So we're going to make the choice to skip this area if we're coming in with no advantage, go straight to Infected, do that. Then we're going to come back over this area and try and do it in that last hour of the night or last 2 hours of the night, see where things are at, what lines look like. We're guessing that Tooth Fairy, Trick or Treat, and Voodoo should all be able to be done in that way. The one that's really going to be a question is Paranormal Inc. There was lots of nights last year in that last hour that it was still a huge line there and really backed up. So it's always the price with these attractions. The more interactive they are, the smaller they're pulsed in, the longer the waits are going to be, you know, and a lot of times they end up being more popular too. So for us, a lot of things in terms of our enjoyment of anything at theme parks, or conventions for that matter, is relative to how long it takes to get in. And so if it's going to take us an hour to get into a maze, we're probably just not going to really enjoy that. And so that's where we're coming down with Paranormal Inc. And it's because Infected is so far separated, which we'll take you to next. That's why we're going in that direction. So we'll revise things, follow along with us on social media. We'll let you know as the time goes on. It's always hard when you're in August trying to make these predictions, but we're just basing it off of the information from last year and the way things were kind of set up in that way. So if we are making our way into Infected, then when that opening ceremony starts, we're going to glide right past Ghost Rider here. We're going to make our way down, make our way straight into the heart of Ghost Town, go through the fun fog alley there. Watch out for the sliders, don't trip anyone, and make our way down there and hit the left, and we'll talk about that next as we go into Infected. All right, so at this point now we've made our way over here to Mystery Lodge. Offset behind it is where you're going to have Infected. This year, Infected has been promised to have much more kind of in-your-face action, a lot more closer proximity as you're going into Black Ops, which sounds a lot of fun. Definitely something we're really looking forward to here to check it out. The video game aspects of Infected are super awesome. It was our highlight if you followed along with us in 2014. 2015, a lot of the operational issues of getting people in kind of pushed us off from being able to do it quite as much as we would have liked to, or been able to experience it kind of in its full flavor. But we're excited about 2016. It'll be interesting. They've done away with the ticket system, so now it's simply a regular queue-up system. And so you're going to make your way over here, get in line, and that's why we think this is going to be another area. Again, you're going to be in smaller groups, as we understand it, making your way through this area that's probably going to be a lot of stop and go with shooting zombies and things like that. Different than a kind of a general flow-through of a standard maze. So either way, whether we did the buffet and the other things first, or we skipped those, made our way here, this is where we're at now. We're going to do Infected. We're going to love it, have a great time, hopefully. Then from there, we're going to head over to Wilderness Dance Hall, which is going to be our Red Barn, and we're really excited about that kind of hillbilly sicko type of fun. It kind of reminds us of the old days of Slaughterhouse or something like that, kind of a classic Knott's maze. So we'll make our way in there, have a good time with that as well, and then we're going to shoot across the park over there. We're going to talk about a couple of the ones that are going to be over more on the accelerator side and kind of getting on the other side of Calico Mine Ride. Before we do that move, though, you might be asking yourself just about shows and where that's going to fit in. For us, we save the shows for the latter part of the night. If we need a break, maybe earlier, but otherwise we're trying to hit these mazes as fast as possible, because despite the crazy crowds that everyone knows a theme park's going to have for haunts, a lot of people show up an hour or two late, and we don't want to be mingled in with that madness in these lines. So by the time everybody's here at 9, 10 o'clock, we like to kind of be done with the mazes, and that's when we're moving into the shows. Things like the hanging, we can kind of stand back easily, get there whatever time and watch it from a distance. And then with Elvira, we need to be there early, but still it's a lineup system either way that shouldn't be as formidable as some of these mazes are. All right, so after we've hit Infected in Red Barn, we're going to make our way over here to the Boardwalk Ballroom, which is going to have a new facade, and it's going to freshen up and liven up Dead of Winter. And so Wendigo's Revenge has got a new subtitle. Daniel Miller, who did all the cool stuff at Tooth Fairy and put some love into Trick or Treat, is going to be making his way over here and putting together all that fun. Then from there, heading over to this spot, making our way in the accelerator queue is going to be Shadowlands, a brand new maze by John Cook, who also is known for his work on Infected as well as Paranormal Inc. So we know it's going to be highly interactive, which we're guessing also probably big lines by the end of the night. Now what's nice with that one is being so far removed over here. Usually it's one of the last ones to fill up. So if we've made our way across the park and doing good with our speed and everything, we will have hit these with minimal lines, and we should be in good shape at this point, which is going to leave us the question. We've got Gunslinger's Grave, we've got the Hollows, which is a giant, massive scare zone with all sorts of fun stuff in it. And then we've got the shows, and if we didn't hit the offset stuff, we can kind of fit those in. So we're going to head over to the Hollows and talk a little bit about how all of that area is going to work. All right, so we've made our way over here next to Sierra Sidewinder. We've got Camp Snoopy over by us, Silver Bullet here. Behind us is the site of Gunslinger's Grave. So we want to talk kind of now about just wrapping up the night and some of the choices, because obviously when you have a strategy guide, there's always going to be philosophical choices. Anything can change night to night. I mean, an actor gets there late, something doesn't open on time, an effect isn't working, they have to close the maze down. I mean, it can really throw a kink into the night. It's definitely why we suggest the Scary Farm Pass and trying to make multiple visits so that you're able to enjoy it and not have to rush through quite as much. But that said, again, trying to keep with our main focus here of if we had that one night, what would we do? So we finished up now Shadowlands. In that last 4 mazes we hit the 4 big new things. Besides that, we've obviously got the skeleton key rooms we've talked about. That's its own separate topic all on its own. And then the Hollows, something we're really looking forward to, is just this massive 6-acre scare zone over in Camp Snoopy. But that's something we feel like, much like the Ghost Town Streets has always been, or Carnival or any of the scare zones, it's something that can kind of be enjoyed at the end of the night, and there's going to be no lines, just a big massive area to enjoy watching the scare actors do their thing. So where that fits along with Gunslinger, along with making our way back maybe for second helpings of the maze or the shows, kind of depends on your interest and where you're at with fatigue factors. For us, after Shadowlands, most likely, because we've been here and done it a lot, we're not really worried about Gunslingers. We've done it enough times, we're familiar with it. If we hit it at the very end of the night, maybe that's fine. For us, after Shadowlands, we're going to make our way back over, probably fit in the Hanging and Elvira, something along those lines. Maybe we'll make our way back over to here or to the offset stuff, especially if we weren't able to do that in the beginning. But definitely where we want to end our night, like that 12 to 1 zone, if we're not really trying to hit mazes again, is we really want to check out the Hollows again. And that's kind of going to be our other rest areas. Usually Elvira is a great place just when we want to rest, or the Ghost Town Streets. I think the Hollows is going to be that this year. I'm really excited to see what they do with that area, opening Camp Snoopy back up to all sorts of fun work there with the scare actors. And it's one of the things we love most about any of these scare attractions is just watching scare actors do their thing out in the open. So the idea of sitting in the Hollows with the fog billowing around and watching monsters scare people sounds like a lot of fun to us, and that's probably how we'll wrap things up in a lot of ways. So again, we hope this guide helps. We're out here melting in the August sun, doing the best that we can. So we will be on social media. We'll be live tweeting everything opening night, September 22nd. We'll come back out on a Friday or Saturday, not far after, to test out our guide. We also do a guide like this every year for Universal Studios Hollywood Horror Nights as well, Halloween Horror Nights as well. And so you can follow along with that and check that out on YouTube. Again, just trying to help you have a better time with the experience. If you can afford front of the line for every night of every haunt thing you do, definitely go for it. Obviously, that's a question we get a lot of times, like, well, you can't do horror nights without a front of the line. You can't do Scary Farm without it. Our feeling is you can do it and have a really good time. We brought, I think, 3 different groups of new people to Scary Farm last year. One group to Horror Nights for the first time. All of them experienced it for their first time, all of them without paying for the front of the line. All of them had a good time. It does mean you got to be there early. It does mean you got to be on point and keep moving. It does mean there's not as much sitting down and relaxing time, though, so it comes at a price, but it still can be a good time, and that's what we want to try and do with this strategy visual guide. So we hope this was of interest to you, and follow along with us on social media. Follow along with us on our podcast, iTunes, and Stitcher. We'll be talking all sorts of haunts this year. So wrapping up in preparation for Scary Farm 2016. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.